Greetings. It's the Urban Scholar. Welcome back. It's your favorite show, Class and Session Podcast. I know it's been a while. We got a lot of things to talk about. One of the topics that we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about toxic relationships. How do you identify them? How do you know if you're in one? You know, these things are really important nowadays because relationships are always a hot topic on every social media platform you go on. And some of y'all are in toxic relationships and you don't even have a clue that it's toxic because either you're the toxic person or you can't identify it, right? Because you're green, right? So we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to get into this little music sample we got here. It's an artist by the name of Young Yefe, all right, by way of New Jersey, residing in Atlanta. I wanted to feature some of his music before we really got into that topic, man. He got this song called Pass the Time, right? And I thought it was kind of perfect for this show. I just wanted to give y'all a little taste. Yeah, so check him out. Yefe is on all platforms, Apple, Spotify. You can check him out on Instagram. You can check him out Facebook. And definitely check him out on YouTube. He's a big time vlogger. Let me get y'all a little sample of this right here. It's a little spotlight right here, artist spotlight. You're at Class and Session Podcast. And you know we sponsored by none other than Urban Scholar Gear, Urban Scholar Music Group. You know the biggest. It's that boy Young Yefe. We call him Big Yefe now. He's on all platforms. It's called Pass the Time. Check this out. One of my favorite artists. We're gonna get into the show. I know y'all excited about this topic. I know I am. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, let's get to it. Toxic relationships. Where do I start? We need to talk about the ABCs. There's ABCs to a relationship, right? And a lot of people think because they're a certain age, right, that certain things don't apply to them, that they figured things out. So I'm gonna tell you guys one thing that we all have in common, that is indisputable, that no one can even argue. We've all been in failed relationships, over 90% of us, right? Because we've dated multiple people. So that means that relationship ended for a reason, right? So just on the premise of the fact that we've all experienced failed relationships, that's a good place to start. Because at the end of every relationship, when we talk about the ABCs, a person is supposed to do the knowledge. What do you mean do the knowledge? It means you're supposed to go grab a mirror, look in that mirror, and ask yourself, what happened here? What was the real reason why this didn't work out? And you have to have big draws. The draws got to be big enough for you to be able to look at yourself without looking back at the other person. You got to look at the things that you brought to the table, right? Because you always got to start with self. Because at the end of the day, the relationship ended. That person's moved on and will move on, and you need to figure out a way to move on, right? The toxic part of that is you holding on and wanting to blame that person. So let me tell you this. Even if that person is the blame for the failed relationship, you contributed to that. So you got to first focus on your part in that, right? Were you green? Did you create a situation? You got to always ask yourself, is it something from my past that triggered me while I was in that relationship? Is there some unresolved trauma that I have? Did I go through something early in life that caused me to behave the way I am today? See, some of y'all in your 20s, some of y'all in your 30s, some of y'all in your 40s, some of y'all in your 50s, and I'm watching all these Pop the Balloon shows, and I'm saying to myself, why is there a Pop the Balloon show, a new one every day? Because relationships are a big deal, and people are unable to maintain relationships. And I watch people who have successfully matched with people on these shows, right? And then you see them on later shows because they're just dating. They're not looking for anything serious, right? So 9 times out of 10, to me, people that date on social media or dating websites or who attend these shows, right? To me, those are the toxic people. And I don't care what you say. They're all toxic to me because what's going on in your life as an adult that you got to go in front of the public and meet some strangers to try to match? What are the chances? What are the odds? You're better off sticking to them platforms that never work out. Because if you ask me, those dating websites, 90% of the cycles are on there. 90% of the people are on there who have trauma, unresolved trauma, who have all types of issues. They've been in all kinds of situations, right? And then you get on social media and pretend to be somebody that you're not. So you start manipulating the next person that you meet. See, the problem is people are not healing. They're moving on to the next relationship and pretending that they're not part of the problem. And in some cases, you are the problem, right? So you have to get to a place with yourself. Forget the damn relationship. You got to get to a place with yourself where you're really looking to be real, because if you don't, you're going to damage and you're going to ruin every relationship that you enter because you're thinking that I'm the gift in this relationship, when in essence, you're really the curse. See, some of y'all stuck on looks, and the ones that are stuck on looks, they got the lowest self-esteem. Did you just hear what I said? The people who are focused on their looks and their bodies have the lowest self-esteem. Yeah, I said it right here on Class in Session podcast. Why? Because you so stuck on your external, you don't even look at what's inside and what's going on with you. You continuously use your looks and your body parts, right, as baiting tools, right, to bait people and to tell yourself you look good. And I'm going to tell you why you can't argue with me. Because I know some of y'all getting pissed off right now, but I don't care. Why are there so many women out there altering their bodies, getting surgery? Because something in here doesn't feel right. So I don't care what you say, what you're telling people. I don't care how pretty you look. Listen, if you're getting stuff done to your body and there's no medical justification for it, you don't feel good inside. You don't like who you are. So you focusing on your external. You got to get your nails done, right? Your hair always got to be done. And 9 times out of 10, the wig stuff is out of control. And I'm going to say it. Because the fellas, you got a lot of dudes that deal with that. They pay for that. They do all that. Them dudes ain't really real. They ain't going to settle down with you. They're just there for the short term, right? Men want to see who you are. We don't want to have to deal with all this makeup, these eyelashes, all of these things. I'm speaking for the men. I don't care what you're saying. I don't care what they're telling you. We want to know what you look like. Give us an opportunity, right, to see who you really are on the outside, and then give us an opportunity to know who you are on the inside. But so many of y'all are so caught up on the outside that you blow your own blessing. Now you got the dudes out here doing the same thing, getting fake hair, fake beards, doing all types of stuff to themselves. And there's dudes out there also getting surgery. Man, where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? You meet people online, you all dolled up, right? Then you go meet them in person. Then both of y'all looking at what y'all think y'all look like, just to go home and take all that stuff off. And then when it comes down to the real nitty gritty, right, of wanting to take this relationship to the next level, y'all ain't even seen each other for real yet. Because you're so obsessed with your external and with this look that you've created that you got to maintain. I'm speaking to both, but it's majority women, right? Why? Ask yourself, why am I hiding? What am I hiding? What am I covering up? Why am I always getting my body done? Why am I always putting on makeup? Why am I always getting hair tat like toupees and stuff like that? You got to embrace yourself. You got to embrace everything that God created you to be. Because without self-esteem, I don't see how you can sustain a relationship successfully. Right. So the toxicity of it is you're not dealing with your trauma. You're not dealing with your past. You're not being real about who you really are. Because who you are is rooted in how you were raised, the environment you had in your home, the environment you came from in your community, the people you surrounded yourself with, the things that you've done. That's a combination of who you are in totality. But we do all of this pretending to be somebody that we're not by covering ourselves up with clothes and the makeup. So I'm simply saying, how do you avoid a toxic relationship? When, in my opinion, if you're meeting people offline, 9 times out of 10, they're toxic. And I'm saying toxic because your issues are not dealt with and you haven't come to terms of who you really are. And that's what we're here to talk about today. The ABCs. Everything starts here. You got to start asking yourself, how many relationships have I been in? How many partners have I had? Right? We got to start asking ourselves these type of questions. And am I a person of value? Because there's a difference between looking good and being a person of value. See, I'm pointing out the things, right, that can help you identify whether you're toxic or not. And also to see toxicity in these relationships. They always get an attitude. There's unresolved issues. It's not you. It's not you. It's not you. Because people that are angry on an ongoing basis refuse to deal with their own stuff. And they're going to blame everybody that they come into contact with. Everybody that they're around. It's always somebody else. It's never them. Right? And that's not a good place to be as an adult. You can't be running around as an adult, mad, dealing with things in a negative way. There's nothing healthy about that. And if you don't think that something's wrong with that type of behavior and that it doesn't need to be addressed, you, sir, ma'am, are the problem. You're toxic, right? Because everybody comes to the table with some type of issues, right? But to sit there and be in a relationship and to constantly belabor stuff and to be pointing fingers and this and that, when you could just be focused on the greater good. What's the greater good? You meet somebody, you put everything on the table and say, hey, this is who I am, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm working on. But if you're not working on that, you ain't willing to do all of that. It's called transparency. And a lot of people talk it, but nobody's really walking this walk. You have to be willing to put things on the table and be vulnerable. But people who are insecure, who have unresolved trauma, they're not going to be vulnerable all the time. It's going to make them uncomfortable, and it's going to trigger most of their issues, if not some of them. I'm talking some real stuff here because people want to be in relationships. People want to act like they're the gift in the relationship. But the reality of it is everybody in the relationship got things that they got to work on. So you're either contributing to that person's problems, your partner's problems, or in a good way or a bad way. So are you being healthy? Because being healthy is knowing how to really communicate. That requires you to listen. That requires you to listen with your ears and with your heart and to see things with your eyes, because that is very important. So these are the things that make relationships toxic. And it's mostly rooted in trauma and your ability not to want to deal with your issues. Your inability to want to confront yourself, but want to confront everybody you come into contact with. That's not realistic. It's not healthy, and it's not sustainable. This is your favorite podcast. This is the Urban Scholar. This is Class in Session Podcast. I want to see all y'all feedback. I want the disagreements, the agreements. I want it all. Leave comments. Please leave all the comments you want. Add some feedback. Tell me what you think about this show. And also let us know what kind of topics that you want to hear about, because we're going to be here. We're going to be talking about all types of stuff. And listen, we're going to get down to it. We're going to really talk about these issues head on, because a lot of people are going down roads that ain't fun and it's not healthy. And people really need to really grow up in their relationships, because that's really what it's about. People got to really want to grow up. And the problem with not wanting to grow up, you ain't going to be in no healthy relationship. So that's what it is. Subscribe, Class in Session Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. Check us out, subscribe and follow, and share this, like, comment. This is the Urban Scholar, and this is Class in Session.